It is Thursday, June 30th, and we have some huge news to announce. I first saw from John Wilner. USC and UCLA are planning to leave the Pac-12 and will join the Big Ten potentially as early as 2024. Yes, that's right. USC and UCLA are planning to leave the Pac-12 and to join the Big Ten potentially as early as 2024. I am joined by 24/7 Sports college football reporter Brandon Marcello to break down this big news. Brandon, first and foremost, what's your reaction to this really monumental news that has completely just shaken up the college football world?
Super conferences are here. Now we're in this new era. It is beginning, and if you're not the SEC and Big Ten right now, you better be actively seeking teams to add to your conference, or you're going to be completely left in the dust, and you're not going to be able to recover. That's my first thought. In addition to whatever matchups and dream scenarios you want to think up, but we're in the super conference era. This is it. We're here. There's no more debating whether it's going to happen. It's happening.
And let's start first with the Pac-12. What does this mean for them? Because USC, UCLA, two of their premier brands, really USC, their premier brand of that conference. What does the Pac-12 do now? Because they're kind of left in shock, I'm sure, themselves with these two, historical universities leaving and joining the Big Ten.
You better be actively seeking membership right now, in addition to quelling any concerns that you may have with your current membership, including Oregon and Utah and Colorado. Those are some big pieces to this pie that if they want to leave, they're going to be actively seeking homes elsewhere. Why wouldn't an Oregon be very mad at this? In fact, I've been told that Oregon is pretty upset already hearing this news. So if you are in a position of power in the Pac-12, you're going to have more leverage against the Pac-12 than being able to help the Pac-12. And by that, I mean drawing some bigger names into the Pac-12 to help keep it afloat. If you're the Pac-12, who can you add? The big schools are already now in the SEC and in the Big Ten, and no one's leaving those conferences. Do you get a Boise State? That's not going to shake things up. It keeps you afloat, but it's not going to keep you anywhere close in the realm in the trajectory that the SEC and Big Ten are headed. And for that matter, even close to the ACC, the Pac-12 is now by far the worst Power 5 conference on the map.
And you even think a team out west like Gonzaga, sure, that would be great for basketball, but does nothing for football, obviously. So I'm sure the Pac-12 has some reshuffling to do and some thinking to do as they kind of absorb this big news. And the SEC, is this kind of the Big Ten saying, you took Texas, you took Oklahoma, but look what we did now. We took USC and UCLA. Big Ten trying to, I guess, one up the SEC in a way by taking, these two powers.
I don't think it's a direct relation to let's see what we can do against the SEC, but I think everybody's in kind of a exploratory mode of we've got to look forward to what the college sports is going to look like in 10 years, and we need to make the moves now. The SEC made that first big move with two huge dominoes in Texas and OU joining the SEC. But the Big Ten, I keep going back, and I think all the jokes and the memes coming out of this, we all know it. The Alliance, the ACC, the Big Ten, and Pac-12. I've said since from day one that it was a complete joke. They weren't going to get anything done. They were still out for themselves, especially the Big Ten. And we're seeing it. The Big Ten, while maybe not actively seeking membership, knew they were in a position of power. That other schools, if they wanted to join the Big Ten, were going to reach out to them. And based off the preliminary reports, USC and UCLA are the ones who engaged conversations with the Big Ten, not the other way around. Same thing happened with Texas and OU to the SEC. So, with all that considered, who in their right mind, and I hate to say this, who in their right mind would sit there and go, let's join the Pac-12. Let's reach out to the Pac-12. No one of any huge, substantive fan base or university with multiple championship-winning programs is going to want to join the Pac-12 right now.
So, Brandon, two more before I let you go. I want to hit on the ACC, too, because we've seen, obviously, the SEC make big moves with Texas and Oklahoma. The Big Ten answers with USC and UCLA. The ACC, obviously, Clemson, Miami, Florida State, North Carolina. Where do they go from here? Because I'm sure they're now kind of shuffling and saying, do we need to make a move? Is a Notre Dame potentially on the table? Do they try to poach someone from the Pac-12 or the Big 12? Where does the ACC go from here?
That's the wild card kind of in the ACC's pocket is Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I think, as things change, would be open to maybe discussing joining the ACC, especially if Notre Dame's going to be further left out of some of the playoff picture as far as first round buys and all of that based off of, what we're seeing with this expanded playoff because they're not part of a conference. So maybe that would help them. The ACC is in a great position right now. Number one, they're not really in a big threat of losing any teams because their grant of rights, kind of their buyout for a team to want to leave the ACC is astronomical. It's almost impossible to get out of that deal. It's not like the Pac-12 or the Big 12 where it's manageable. The ACC's done a pretty good job with that. The issue for the ACC as they look to maybe expand is that the ACC is still a geographically correct, I guess you could say, conference. It's the Atlantic Coast. Yep. They're not really going out beyond that. They're not going to be able to poach any SEC teams unless it's like a lower level SEC team. But why would a Vanderbilt even want to leave the SEC? You're getting all this money. So the ACC is in a spot where they got to kind of think things through. If we want to expand, how do we do that? Do we still want to be in this geographic footprint? Or do we just try to go get a Notre Dame and maybe someone else? ACC is going to be fine. But I think this could help Notre Dame. I think it's beneficial for Notre Dame and the ACC to be, let's just make this official, make our marriage official at this point. Notre Dame, as we all know, already plays 5 games against ACC opponents every year in football. It just makes sense. The issue is for the ACC is just finding one more school to join them.
And of course, Notre Dame in the ACC and other sports as well. So Brandon, last one from me. Is this the end of the term Power 5? Can we just start saying Power 2, Power 3?
Yes, I think this, we won't hear, I don't think there will be a terminology called power anything. It'll be the 2 super conferences or the 2 leagues. I think that's what we're getting into, the 2 super leagues or whatever you want to call it. Some type of terminology will be put together. We'll just say that. I think the Power 5, those days are done. There's not 5 power conferences anymore. Starting in 2023, there are not 5 Power 5 conferences, guys. Let's stop calling it the Power 5 then. It's whatever this will be. Right now, it's the 2 super conferences and everybody else.
So the college football world, which has already been shaken up because of moves previous, got even more crazy today when USC and UCLA, it was announced that they are planning to join the Big Ten, leave the Pac-12 as potentially as early as 2024. For Brandon Marcello, I am Lance Glinn. Thanks for listening to this bonus episode here on 24/7 Sports.